Hi, I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Media, or APC Technology Productions, Transformer Technology, Power Systems Technology. We are here at the RE Plus 2023 event in Las Vegas. This thing is huge. It seems like the battery storage people have come here. So we've got wind, solar, battery storage, and everything in between. But hope you enjoy these interviews. I love interviewing the technology of the future, and enjoy. All right, my next guest is Joe Marhmati. He's got several companies. He's going to tell you about them. And I'm not allowed to say Ipsen, but that was it was a great story about where you got Ipsen from. But tell me a little bit about your background, your career, and your role at both, because I know you're co-founder, CEO, and a bunch of other things. Your LinkedIn profile is really weird. I just want you to know that.
Oh, that's okay. I think I'll try to explain it.
Okay,
all right.
Try.
So I spent about 9 years at the Department of Energy in the Loan Programs Office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which you're probably familiar with.
Yeah.
Very popular office at DOE.
Yeah.
So I spent time in
That's where the dollars were.
That's right. Oh, yeah. And there's even more dollars now, from what I understand, since I left. So we started, the Recovery Act. We were putting out $30 billion for Tesla, the first electric vehicles, the first utility scale solar, cellulosic biofuels, the first new nuclear in 30 years, a lot of innovative technologies. And around 2016, there was a change in administrations, and I decided to start a solar company with a good friend of mine who I'd met at the Department of Energy. And that was when solar had really started to come down to a cost that was affordable for the average American. So we wanted to start the best solar company in the country, still working on that could take all the lessons we learned from DOE and apply them to a real-world local solar installer in the DC metro area.
Okay.
So that's what we've been working on now for about 7 years. That's Ipsen Solar.
Okay.
Now, in the last 2 years, we realized we wanted to have a customer portal and a fleet management system that was white labeled for us, that says Ipsen Solar, that is not the inverter brand or the manufacturer's brand, so we could own the customer relationship from the minute a homeowner signs a contract to the 30-year life of the system. So we built a customer portal with our label, our logo, our brand, our colors hosted on our website, and we saw what it did for our brand equity and our referrals, and then we white labeled it. We started a separate company called SUNVOY that does this white labeling for any solar installer worldwide, and that's our new startup that we're here at RE Plus for.
So you're helping the installers, the independent business people. You are their back end. You're their Intel inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a cool deal. Well, forget that for a minute. I want to switch gears. You've been around the industry. You're DOE trained, so you understand the problems of the industry. Talk about from maybe that was a good time to talk about when we were starting to spend a lot of money to build it. It seems to me like we've kind of finally reached some scale. I mean, here there's more battery producers, more battery storage type things going on than ever before. So the idea that you could use wind and solar, and you could actually now store it, and now you've got a reliable, safe, reliable, something resilient way of being able to bring energy to the market. Talk about the journey that you've seen from us there to here.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll tell you, when we started Ipsen Solar, we started with a 290 watt panel, and now we have a 440 watt panel.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. We've seen energy density increase, wattage increase, format of panels increase. So now you can fit more watts on the roof, right? Obviously the price has gone down. We're now below $3 a watt, so most homeowners can afford solar. And we've seen battery attachment rates increase significantly. So now you have a lot of reputable battery manufacturers, a lot of up-and-coming battery manufacturers. And so we've seen as high as 1 out of every 4 of our homeowners add a battery to their solar system, right? So now you've zombie-proofed your house, right? The zombie apocalypse, as long as the sun rises every morning, you're gonna be able to power that house. And I tell that to homeowners, and they like that, right? So even if the grid goes out, which, we've had near catastrophic outages in the US, and we've had homeowners for weeks on end, they could power their homes, right? We've seen time of use rates come in, not just in the West, but also in the East Coast. We have voluntary time of use rates. So now there's payback time on storage. So the market has evolved enormously in the 7 years since we've been doing this. There's also more financing options. There's a lot of credit unions that are coming into solar and financing solar and battery storage, as well as new roofs and HVAC and weatherization. So I would say solar is significantly more accessible to homeowners today, both in terms of the packages, watts on the roof, financing, but it's also a much more mature technology.
So when you think about it, if 20% of homeowners in sun areas, right, installed solar, we could solve the transportation electrification of transportation problem, because the demand curve for electricity is finally going up after being flat, and that's a problem in that we don't have new generation, but we have renewable generation. It seems to me it comes down to the fact that we are finally getting to distributed energy at the home. You can do it yourself, and to the extent that you can store as much as you can store in a battery, you do become freestanding. You're independent of the grid for the period that you need it, when the grid is independent of you.
Absolutely, yeah. I have 150 kilowatt hours in my garage right now.
Really?
I do. I have 2 electric vehicles, and as soon as the bidirectional chargers hit the market next year, well, wow, you don't need stationary storage necessarily, because you can use your vehicles to power your home, export to the grid, provide resilience, provide ancillary services to the utility. So that, I think, is the biggest revolution that's coming, is bidirectional charging. Now you've got energy storage on 4 wheels all over the country. And in California, 22% of new vehicle sales are electric cars. So that's going to spread across the country, and that's going to provide an enormous service to homeowners and to the utility.
So if I were to be critical of any part of the thing that you're talking, you know what it is? Is the lack of quality in installers. You get a lot of complaints about who gets to install, and it's a trust. Oh, trust us. We've done enough. Oh, trust us. When you're talking about what you're talking about, that you almost have to certify installers to make sure they don't give you a bad name, because they just don't send the right people out there. They don't do the right connect. My son installed solar. He's had to have 2 different people out to solve the problem. Both of them said, well, they didn't install it correctly. I mean, I'd fix that.
I'm going to fix it for you right now. Are you ready?
Yeah, right.
Have you heard of the Amicus Solar Cooperative?
No.
Amicus is a buying cooperative of 80 premium solar installers, coast to coast, in almost every state of the country. Okay. And it's the only group that I'm aware of that's vetting solar installers for values, solvency. Average time in the market is 19 years of these solar installers. So this is the only group that I'm aware of that's actually looking for the best of the best solar installers. They accept only 1 out of every 5 applications that they get to the Amicus Solar Cooperative. So I tell all my friends and family, if you're looking for a quality installer, go to amicussolar.com, look at those 80 members, and pick the company in your area, because that is guaranteed, in most cases, to be the best installer.
So, Joe, I threw a curveball at you. I want you to fix it, and you nailed it.
Right?
You just gave me the fix.
There you go.
I got another fix. You got another problem we're going to handle.
Let me have it.
So, this idea of bidirectional, is that the term, bidirectional charging? The more that we become, the more we become less dependent upon the utility becomes less dependent on us. It's a revenue stream, right? And so consequently, the big fear at the utilities is they're going to be messing with our revenue stream. They're going to be producing their own power, and then what's going to stop them from a neighborhood saying 20% of the people have cars, they have storage, and they say, why do we need the power grid? Why do we need them? You can buy your power from us, the neighborhood co-op, right? It is going to change everything. Yet utilities are, by the way they're regulated and the way that regulation, DOE and the feds, is so behind the speed with which we're bringing about change. And so consequently, if I'm a utility guy, I'm saying, you got to understand what our issues are while you're trying to do all this thing. So address me, fix it for me.
Well, there's going to be a point in time where if you can't beat them, you're going to have to join them. And I think the utilities are going to figure that out in the next 5 years, because if they can't compete with this revolution that's going on around us, they're going to want to be a part of the game, right? They're going to want to own those assets. They're going to want to subsidize battery storage for homeowners and provide value to homeowners for having a battery in their home. They're going to want to subsidize solar. And I think that that's what's coming, is that there's going to be a merging of the distributed generation market that's around us here today and the utility market, where it's going to become one thing, right? Because we need the utility grid. It's not going anywhere, right? We don't have enough constancy in renewable generation quite yet. And so these two entities need one another, and I think there's going to be some kind of merging and compromise coming in the next 5 to 10 years, where the utilities realize there's no stopping this. You can try, but there's 35,000 people in this room right now. This is a constituency to be reckoned with. And there's no way to steamroll all of these companies, all of the millions of homeowners that have already gone solar.
It amazes me. You've addressed another one, so you nailed that one. Thank you very much. I'm not going to think of any more problems because we're going to have to bring the interview to an end, but I do want you to talk about your unique solution. So talk about what it is. If I were to walk to your booth, tell me what it is you've told me what it is that you do. Now sell me on why you.
So here's the status quo right now. If a solar installer started a solar company today and you turned a system online, flicked the switch, all of the monitoring is going through the manufacturer, usually the inverter platform, right? So what we thought is, why don't we white label the solution so that the installer owns the customer relationship from the minute they sign the contract to the 30-year life of the system. So there's a single point of truth for the homeowner where they can track their project, they can see all their energy data, right? Today, a homeowner might have to go to one app for their solar production, another app for their whole home consumption, another app for their EV charger, another app for their battery, another app for their load control, on and on and on and on. You might have to use 6 different apps to see what's going on in your home and get all that energy data. We bring all of that data into one place with the installer's logo, brand, colors, and it looks like the customer portal is built for the homeowner with all the energy data in one place, right? So it's a single point of truth for homeowners. They can live in this portal from the minute they sign the contract to the 30-year life of the system. They don't have to go to all these different apps, and it makes the homeowner experience more cohesive, but most importantly, the installer now owns that relationship for 30 years. So that's a big change from the status quo where installers are commoditized, right? Oh, anyone can install solar. We're going to own the customer relationship from the manufacturer's perspective. This is bringing that brand equity back to the installer, which is going to reduce the cost of acquisition, which is going to help that manufacturer sell more of their stuff.
So there's a revenue stream, obviously, for that 30 years that the installer can say, hey, I now have a recurring revenue stream, which is one of the problems of when you just install it and then you walk away. It goes back to, do you only give that to amicus guys that we can trust that they're going to do the right thing, or can anybody do it? And does it kind of indicate if a solar installer is doing what you sell, is buying your program, they're buying a 30-year commitment. Just by nature, you're going to tend to get a much more quality product. Because they don't want somebody calling them 30 days after and saying, hey, this isn't working. Does it improve the quality of the installer marketplace out there?
Absolutely, yeah. So obviously there's a lot of great companies in Amicus. There's a lot of great companies that are not in Amicus, that are one day be in Amicus. So we sell...
The 4 out of 5 that didn't make it. Okay.
Yes, right, exactly. Well, so we vet installers too. We want companies that are vertically integrated, that share our values, that are ethical, that care about the homeowner, right? And you're not going to use a white label portal if you don't want a relationship for 30 years with a homeowner, just as you just said, right? So SUNVOY installers are strong installers that have also been around for over a decade, and it helps homeowners distinguish from somebody that might just be knocking on their door selling a solar system, but not going to answer the phone in 3 months.
Right.
We only sell SUNVOY to vertically integrated installers that are quality companies that care about their brand and want to be there for the long haul.
So I know you white label it, but you ought to put a SUNVOY inside. Don't let yourself become Intel, who was the greatest chip manufacturer, but nobody knew about him until Michael Dell said, look, if you pay me this, I'll put your brand on there, and now Intel is known by everybody.
Powered by Intel.
Powered by SUNVOY. All right.
We actually say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in the bottom, in tiny little ink, in font size 5, it says powered by SUNVOY.
Okay,
right?
I'm all right with
yeah,
that.
so it's on there.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to get my son to see if he's powered by SUNVOY.
Oh, I hope so.
He's had too many problems.
Well, then he probably isn't. But
probably
if he
isn't.
looks on Amicus.com
Yeah.
or SUNVOY, he can find a good installer.
All right,
Yeah.
excellent. Joe, thank you so much. Been brilliant.
The
Appreciate
pleasure
it.
was mine.